Well, it was early 2006. Former ABC anchor Bob Woodruff was reporting in war-torn Iraq at the time when a roadside bomb nearly took his life. Now, almost 20 years later, Woodruff returns to the explosion site for the very first time, and you will see it in a primetime special. This is airing tomorrow night right here on ABC. Mr. Woodruff joining us now live to talk about this special tomorrow night. Sir, appreciate you taking the time. Take me back to that moment in Iraq. What do you remember from that day that changed your life forever?
Well, it's almost 18 years ago, and I know that I've told the story many times of what I did remember, but I know that we were badly hit. My cameraman, Doug Voda, and I were at the top of this tank. We were hit, and I just remember I kind of went out cold, and I saw my body kind of floating underneath me. 2 minutes later, I woke up and asked my producer if we had died, and he says, no, we're still alive. And that's the last thing I remember, really, till I woke up 36 days later. But it's to go back to that same place, where I don't really remember much of anything except what the street looked like. And to go back there now in a very different Iraq, had a lot of emotion to it.
And when you went back in that moment, what was playing through your mind? You took your son with you as well. Who's a part of this production?
Yeah, I took my son he's in the production company. He's got his own operations now. He's a shooter and a writer and an editor and a drone flyer and all that. So he'd been wanting to go back for a long time. But he's a kid, that he was 14 years old when this happened, and kind of really changed our family. It was so damaging to it, and it's really miraculous return to normality of the family. But for him, he wanted to go for forever. I wanted to go back. I kind of tried to go back multiple times. I just couldn't get it cleared in terms of safety to return. But I just wanted to, and he wanted to. I was worried about my responsibility as a father to have him do it, but he'd already start going to these kind of dangerous places, so I couldn't really stop him.
And do you feel differently now that you have gone back? Do you think of that experience in a new way?
Yeah, it's interesting, Mark, you say that, because I think, I wanted to prove that we could not be torn away. We didn't finish our mission. We really wanted this assignment to report about what's happening in Iraq. And I was just, against my will, was taken away from Iraq, and not be able to finish the reports. I'd been wanting to. It's, 20th anniversary of the invasion in Iraq is this year. And in some ways, I wanted to say to the insurgents who detonated this bomb that you try to get us to go, to leave the planet and also just leave the country. Well, we can come back, and no matter what happened to you, at least that we're able to prove that this is not a defeat for us. We can come back and report again, and that was a big part of it for me.
And your life after the blast took a different turn. You've done a lot for veterans over these past years. What would be your message to anyone that's trying to overcome an injury like what you had to go through, and they're just not at this moment able to see the light?
I think that it depends on how severe the wound is, but I've become so close to so many veterans that have gone through very similar things, and the families that were impacted by it. And I think sometimes I tell people, when you're badly hurt, you got to eventually just get rid of this idea that you're going to go back to the same life that you had before. Some of these paths are better than your old ones. Sometimes I say the only good thing about having been blown up in this is we're able to start this very successful operation, this charity group, the Bob Woodruff Foundation, to help veterans that have gone through something simple. I mean, we've now really supplied more than $150 million to these organizations around the country by raising money to do something for the veterans. So that actually feels incredibly good for me and my family.
And it's great to see this whole new opportunity, this whole new chapter come out of what was a horrific experience. Mr. Woodruff, a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. The special After the Blast, The Will to Survive, airs tomorrow night, 8/7 Central on ABC, and streaming the next day on Hulu as well. We'll be back after this short break.